It's Saturday, October 24th, 1942. The largest military conflict the world has ever seen is engulfing much of our planet. The newspapers around the world are filled with accounts of horrific events unfolding on war fronts spanning from the Arctic Sea in the north to the Philippines in the south. Most of Europe is occupied by Hitler's armies, who have also penetrated deep into the Soviet Union. In North Africa, the Second Battle of El Alamein is underway. Montgomery's 8th Army, joined by several allied nations, is fighting against the German Afrika Corps under the command of Erwin Rommel and units of the Italian Army. In the Pacific, the Empire of Japan is fighting the combined forces of the United States, Great Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. During this year, countless new place names will be introduced to mankind's collective vocabulary. Lidice, Stalingrad, Tobruk, and Midway are but a few. The son of the renowned composer and opera singer Reinhard Heydrich was, according to plans, supposed to take over the family music school in the German city of Halle, but fate took him in a very different direction. The baby boy was given a name that appears to have been picked from an edition of Who is Who in Western Music and Opera. The man Hitler called the man with the iron heart, Reinhard Tristan Eugen Heydrich, was born in 1904 in Halle and grew up in a home where the importance of music, theater, and education was stressed. As far as his names go, the first, Reinhard, referred to the hero in one of his father's opera, the one called Amen. The name Tristan stems from the Wagner opera Tristan und Isolde. Heydrich's third name, Eugen, was his late maternal grandfather's name, Eugen Krantz, a former direction of the Dresden Royal Conservatory. After a very successful career within the SS organization, on September 27, 1941, Heydrich was appointed as the Reichsprotektor, loosely translated as governor, of the Bohemia-Moravia region of Czechoslovakia that had been under German control since 1939. The terror was immediate. The same day Heydrich arrived in Prague, he declared martial law. Arguably the most feared man in all of Hitler's Germany, Heydrich appreciated the elevated art forms. He was considered an excellent violin player and frequent visitor to theater and opera events. He excelled at snow skiing and was an Olympic-level fencer. Standing tall at 6'3", with blonde hair, facial scars, athletic, and in great physical shape, Heydrich looked like the stereotypical uber-Nazi that you would see in the 1960s or 70s movie version of an Alistair MacLean thriller. At the same time, Heydrich was very self-conscious with regards to his high-pitched voice and broad hips, not the ideal physical properties for a man in his position during Hitler's reign.
Der Welt des Judentums, des Bolschewismus, des skrupellosen Profits, des Egoismus steht ein einiges Europa gegenüber, das unter der Führung Adolf Hitlers in Übereinstimmung mit Italien alle Kräfte gegen die sinnlosen Zerstörungspläne
He was also a pilot who flew combat missions in Norway. On May 26, the butcher of Prague and his wife Lena spent the evening attending a performance of one of Father Bruno Heydrich's operas at the beautiful Waldstein Castle in Prague. The next morning, on May 27th, as Heydrich was being driven to his office in his conspicuous open top-down 1938 Mercedes-Benz Cabriolet Type B Model 320, the vehicle slowed down to round a sharp curve, and in that vulnerable moment, the blonde beast was mortally wounded by a hand grenade thrown by British trained special agents in Prague. Hitler's orders after the assassination of Reich Protector Reinhard Heydrich were unambiguous. Execute all adult men from age 14 and up. Transport all women to concentration camps. Gather the children suitable for Germanization and then place them in SS families in the Reich, and bring the rest of the children up in other ways. Burn down the village and level it entirely. As a reprisal for the assassination of Reich Protector Heydrich in the late spring of 1942, all male individuals over 14 years of age in the Czech village of Lidice were rounded up and killed by SS police and security service members. The date was June 10th, 1942, and the shootings started at 7 a.m. and continued throughout the afternoon. By the end of the day, Lidice had effectively been demolished and burned to the ground. All that was left was a devastated community of women and children grieving the deaths of 173 fathers, sons, brothers, cousins, uncles, and grandfathers. If future generations ask us what we were fighting for in this war, we shall tell them the story of Lidice. Frank Knox, Secretary of the U.S. Navy. In the Saturday, October 24th, 1942 issue of Sweden's most widely circulated daily newspaper, Dagens Nyheter, the good news is few and far between. The main focus is obviously the global world war with all its bloodshed, destruction, and human suffering. If we take a look at a few of the headlines, we soon get the idea what worldwide belligerence looks like. In Stalingrad, the German 6th Army, under the command of General Fritz von Paulus, is involved in heavy fighting at the Red October steelworks.
Die Schlacht um Stalingrad. Am Rande der nördlichen Fabrikvorstadt schwere Batterien beschießen die an der Wolga gelegenen Industrieanlagen, die zu den bedeutendsten der ganzen Sowjetunion gehören.
Stalingrad, World War II. For hours, days and months, for in this period, every woman and child becomes Stalingrad's defender against furious, increasing Nazi sky and land attacks. Destruction of homes and factories is unending, but despite this avalanche of shot and shell, the heart and the will of the city's defenders never falters.
The British Royal Air Force is carrying out the heaviest bombing raids so far in the war over Italy, with special focus on attacking air and naval bases in Genoa, where large forces destined for the North African campaign are gathering. The resulting damages are reported to be significant. Lacking in food and ammunition, General Wayne Wright and his 70,000 American and Filipino soldiers surrendered the Bataan Peninsula to the Japanese commander Homma on May 6. The Allied prisoners suffered greatly, and many succumbed during the infamous 66-mile or 106-kilometer long sweltering ordeal we now know as the Bataan Death March. The Battle of Midway was a major World War II naval battle between the U.S. and Japan. Japanese naval forces under Yamamoto Isoroku sought to seize Midway Island by engaging the numerically inferior U.S. Pacific Fleet. U.S. intelligence had broken the Japanese naval code, and the U.S. prepared for the assault by mobilizing about 115 land-based aircraft as well as 3 aircraft carriers. The fight ended with a U.S. victory, and the Battle of Midway is considered one of the important turning points of World War II. The shortest distance from Sweden to Russia is approximately 134 miles, or 210 kilometers. If you were to draw a line from Stockholm to Leningrad, it's going to show that the two cities are around 430 miles apart. That's 690 kilometers. In October of 1942, the city of Leningrad had already been encircled by the German and Finnish armies for well over a year. The suffering that Leningrad's population was subjected to is impossible to fathom. This human tragedy was to last for almost 900 days, from 1941 to 1944, with the loss of over 1 million lives. Some estimate are as high as 1.5 million lives. The event is known forever as the Siege of Leningrad, one of history's darkest moments. Starvation, cannibalism, constant artillery fire, and aerial bombardment, ice-cold winters in unheated homes. There were many ways to die in the city that bore Lenin's name. Three days after Ketty von Ham wrote her last letter, the first snow fell over Leningrad. The 5th SS Division Viking took part in Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. The Viking Division attacked through Galicia, a region that included what is today the western Ukraine and eastern Poland. In July and August, the Viking Division participated in the encirclement battles at Uman and Kiev. Estimates vary with regard to the number of casualties sustained at the Battle of Stalingrad, but somewhere around 850,000 German and 1.2 million Soviet soldiers are thought to have perished, along with up to 40,000 civilians. All in all, 2 million people. Later in August, the division fought for the bridge across the Dnieper River at Dnipropetrovsk. Finally, the division took part in the heavy fighting for Rostov-on-Don before retreating to the Meuse River line in November to hold for the winter.